Welcome to Insanity Fair. This is just a quick introduction to a series that I'll be doing on competitive consumption, just to explain the basic concept. Now, I was brought up during the Cold War. I know that a lot of younger people won't really understand what that was about anymore, but the basic idea was that there were two competing ideas for the organisation of society. One was communism and the other was capitalism. And Russia led the Eastern Bloc with the communist idea, with China tagging along. And America led the Western Bloc with capitalism, with Western Europe tagging along. There were a lot of countries that were sort of caught in the middle of this, notably India, which led the so-called non-aligned bloc. And it wasn't clear which of these two alternatives they would prefer, quite apart from their political and military alliances. Now, since the end of the Cold War, the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, a lot of people have assumed that capitalism has just won. And although the Soviet communist idea did collapse, we now see that this is far too simple a view. Chinese communism hasn't collapsed at all. The Chinese Communist Party is still in charge, and they have this weird mixture of communism and capitalism. If you can call it that, it's just something different. It's a different kind of model, the Chinese model. And in other countries, India, again, there are still different models with, traditional dynastic forces, feudalism even. And even in the capitalist West, we can see that the promise of universal prosperity, which was made, hasn't worked out or isn't working out, because what's happening instead is that the rich are getting richer and richer and richer and richer, and everybody else is just stagnating or even going backwards, while some extremely serious social problems like the collapse of the birth rate threaten the whole fabric of society, global warming, other problems. So, what I'd like to suggest is that there is, even so, one way of life, one particular system of life, which has won, and that is, as I say, competitive consumerism. Regardless of what kind of society it is, regardless of its official system, there are very few exceptions. North Korea is an exception, But practically everywhere, people want to acquire status through the consumption of manufactured goods. That's what I call competitive consumerism. So, two examples to illustrate that from opposite ends of the spectrum. A friend of mine explained to me that in Africa, a man might work for the whole week to buy one packet of Marlboro cigarettes, which he will then distribute to people at the doorway of his shack to show what a big man he is. And at the other end of the spectrum, in Dubai, where the richest people are so rich that the normal things that they might want to acquire, like, watches and cars and houses, aren't really enough to compete with, because they can afford all of these things. So what they compete for is number plates, because the lowest number plates are all owned by the royal family and so are not on the market. but occasionally another low number plate will come out. So you see people, they've bought their $1 million supercar for this year, but what they like to do is they like to drive slowly up and down, showing off the fact that they've got number plate number 17, say, for which they will have paid $10 million. So it's something that, even more so than in the case of the Marlboro cigarettes, has no intrinsic value. You can't do anything with it, but you have consumed it and you've acquired status. There are all different kinds of levels of this. For a lot of people it would be a question of a particular brand of shoes, or a particular model of a particular brand of shoes, or, as I say, watches, cars, all of these high status consumer goods. But I think the idea is clear. Anyway, I'll be talking about various aspects of this and how it goes in particular countries and particular types of concept of competitive consumerism. So I hope you're looking forward to it.